Hey guys, those of you who are already in the YouTube stream, hi, welcome along. Just a quick test to make sure everything's working before we actually get started. We're still a few minutes away, but I figure since some of you are already in here, just let me know if that audio seems a bit high. I'm having a bit of trouble with my audio levels. Let's just drop that back a bit. Hello, test. Oh, that's still high, isn't it? Yikes. Check. What I'm finding is that it's taking YouTube a little bit. When I send my audio levels to YouTube, it seems to take a minute or two for it to settle down at YouTube's end, and then it kind of comes right. So hopefully that's about right. Of course, when I get excited, I start talking a bit louder. So just let me know how that's going. It does sounds okay. Thank you, Andrew. Okay, we'll go with that. Look, as we go through, can you guys let me know if there's something wrong with my audio or anything else? Because I don't have anyone else listening to this or watching it. It's only you guys, and I'm only monitoring the sound that I'm sending, not what's actually coming back. So hopefully that's all good. Now, Tarian, you said you're going to try Zoom. Feel free to pop in there any old time. The Zoom meeting should be open for you now. Thanks, Casey. Seems okay to you too. Cool. Thank you. We'll go with that. Okay, we're just a couple of minutes away. Just give me a minute. I'm still trying to organize a few things. I'll be back with you in a sec. Okay, I think we are more or less ready to go. Close enough. Hi, everyone. Welcome along. Thanks for joining me again tonight. Lovely to have you guys here. So, already said hi to a few of you. Hamish, hi to you as well. Hamish, Tarian, Casey, Andrew. I think that's everyone in so far that has commented. Please do comment if you want to say hi. So, tonight, after a quick introduction and a bit of housekeeping stuff, we're going to have a Q&A tonight. We're going to tackle some questions that have been sent in to me. We'll have a quick news roundup, of course, have a look at what's happening in the news with Rocket Lab, not much with SpaceX, but we'll give it a mention, SLS, Mars 2020, and a few astronomy stories tonight. So we'll get to them a little bit later on. So then maybe if we've got time, we might have a few other things at the end of it as well. If you want to join in the Zoom session, feel free to. If you do, yeah, we'll get back to that. If someone does join in, I think Tarian's pretty keen to join in. Casey's saying, dig the sweatshirt. My new top. It's awesome, isn't it? I love it. Now, if you're paying attention, you might also notice that I'm sitting down. That might not seem like such a big deal, but it is for me because I don't sit down when I'm talking to people normally. I stand up and ideally pace around. That's what I normally do. But look, I've actually got a quick video. I'm just going to show you this. My apologies for the terrible quality video. But what's happened is that my station that I normally use here, I stand up, but I'm getting too old and I can't keep standing up all the time. So I decided it was time to sort out a sitting down station, and it was quite a drama. So this is just a sped up version of how it happened. What you're not really seeing here in this video is all the connections. It's not just a case of dropping everything down. I've got a nightmare of cables and various connections that all sort of hidden behind there, and it took me ages. And while I was doing it, I sort of cleaned up a few other things and tried to get some other connections together that I'll talk about in a sec. I kind of got there in the end. I am now sitting down at my new station, and it feels really weird. I'm not entirely convinced because it's not really how I like to work. But let's see what happens. If I get a bit fidgety, that's why. I am giving my legs a rest, and my back, my poor old back's just not up for standing up all day. And because now I'm doing a lot of Zoom sessions and remote learning and stuff like that, I'm just having to spend too much of my day standing up. So we'll try the sitting down thing and see how it goes. Now, while I was doing that, I also rejigged a lot of my connections. I've been talking to you guys about the live video and data feeds that we have coming through here. You know I love all my live feeds. It's just a lot of fun, and it's very cool to be able to keep an eye on things. So I am making some progress with that. I've got my ISS feeds a little bit better sorted out now, so I can access them nice and quickly and easy anytime. So the top two are the two main camera feeds that you would have seen me using before, and plenty of you know what this is all about. The one on the left, the top left, that's what used to be the big panoramic views. There were 3 cameras on that feed. Unfortunately, we've lost that, and now we've just got this one view, but it is a nice view. It's facing straight down to some clouds at the moment, but when you do see something there, it's a limited view, very narrow field of view, but it has some beautiful views. The one on the right is the oldest feed. That's been going for years, that one. It's an old 4:3 format. It's not very good quality, but it does have more interesting views. It changes around a lot, and you can actually see a lot of stuff happening on that. So we've kind of got it. So yeah, not much to look at there, but I can zoom in on any of those 2 feeds or the map. So anytime we want to cross over to the ISS feed, that should be all good to go. You also, some of you know about the feeds coming through these computers at the back here. Some of them are turned off, but that monitor there has got various different kinds of live feeds coming through, and I'm making some progress with that, hooking that through this system. It's actually designed to feed out around the rest of the Space Center here, so nothing's turned on here, but all the screens down the back there, they use, well, not all of them, sorry, but these feeds here go out to various screens around there with little information displays around them. And I've been wanting to get those feeds coming through this system as well, so we can talk about them. I've got this far. I've managed to get a few of them coming through. Some of them are Earth monitoring stations, monitoring air currents, ocean temperature, carbon dioxide. The second row is mostly about the sun, viewing what's there, and then a couple of ground station things along the bottom. So that's about as far as I've got with that one, but I'm certainly looking forward to getting more of that happening in the future. So Casey gets the age thing. It sucks getting older, doesn't it? But still feel young. That's what it's all about. Okay, so yeah, the live feeds. Thanks, Tarian. It's just such a lot of fun. And a quick reminder again, if anyone's got any suggestions for good places to get live video or data feeds to do with space, I'm all ears. I love the stuff. We're constantly looking out for new ones. Some of the older ones drop off, get defunded or whatever. So we're always looking out for new ones. Tarian's saying, wouldn't it be cool if Rocket Lab gave us views off photons live after payload deployment? Absolutely. We do get some nice views, of course, from Rocket Lab already. They've done really well with the live video from there. And the whole presentation, I think it's outstanding. But yeah, we're always looking for more. Always want more. Okie dokie. So that's probably enough of the housekeeping stuff. One quick thing. Ashley, Wendy, and Vienna, if you guys are watching, could you just give me a quick comment, if possible, to say hi, because I want to give a shout out to Vienna about that story that was in the paper just recently, but I'll only do it if you guys are watching. Okay, shall we talk about... hey, Karsten. Nice to see you, Karsten. Sorry, the other thing is the questions and answers that we're going to take tonight. Zakia, if someone is watching from your house, if possible, could you give me a quick comment just to let me know that you are watching, and then I'll tackle your questions for you. Otherwise, we will get back to them later anyway, even if you can't comment. In the meantime, perhaps we might just look at a few of the the quick updates. Now, Tarian saying, have I seen the views off Pathstone yet? No, I haven't. And audio. If there's something in particular about my audio, let me know and be specific. As you know, I am having some trouble with it. Okay. Now, someone last week, or whenever it was we did the last session, mentioned the Hubble glitch and asked if we could talk about that. And then I got sidetracked and forgot about it. My apologies for that. My understanding is that it's all sorted out now, so I'm not going to bother going back to it. I believe it was just a software issue, and there was some issue with the door, but it's all sorted out now. The Hubble did have to go offline for a little bit, but it's back online now. And as far as I'm aware, it's all business as usual. Okay, Taryn, thanks for that. Actually, I'll tell you what happened when I took all of that. When I redid that system before, I took a compressor out of line. So I need, okay, that the compressor is what stops it from getting too loud at times. So yes, I need to think about that. Thank you. Right. Okay. So let's talk. What else have we got here? Now, I should mention with the news stories. Some of you will know that you can go to our website, and if you click on the Space Dave Live thing, there is a link there to the news stories that we talk about. It's just a Google document. So if you ever want to get ahead of the news, that's how you find out pretty much what I'm likely to be talking about in the next session. So you can get a bit of a heads up and maybe do some research as well, so you can help contribute to the whole thing. So let's see, what do we have? We had Rocket Labs launch. We should definitely have a look at that. So let me just get the video ready. So let's just play that. And we'll have a little bit of audio with it. 3, 2. Oh, it gets a little bit loud too, doesn't it? So beautiful launch. This was Rocket Labs' 19th Electron mission. This mission launched 7 satellites, including an Earth observation satellite, 2 Internet of Things nanosatellites, a weather satellite technology demonstration, a technology demonstrator for the US Army, and then the next bit I will read from Rocket Labs' press release on this. It says, the final payload on this mission was Rocket Labs' in-house designed and built Photon Pathstone. The spacecraft will operate on orbit as a risk reduction demonstration to build spacecraft heritage ahead of Rocket Lab's mission to the Moon for NASA later this year, as well as Rocket Lab's private mission to Venus in 2023. Photon Pathstone will demonstrate power management, thermal control, and attitude control subsystems, as well as newly integrated technologies, including deep space radio capability, an upgraded reaction control system for precision pointing in space, and sun sensors and star trackers. Pathstone is the second Photon spacecraft to be deployed to orbit following the launch of Photon First Light in August 2020. There's a lot going on in there, a lot of exciting things for Rocket Lab. The whole Photon thing is just really so exciting. What a great innovation. And everything is looking really promising. Tarian's reminding me, don't forget Pathstone exists. And they do go up. This one was called They Go Up So Fast. So that was Rocket Lab's mission. Everything seemed to be pretty flawless. Now, at this stage, don't ask me any difficult questions about Photon or Rocket Lab's plans, because I fear I have got a little bit behind in what's happening, and I do need to do some catching up. Tarian, if you want to add any information to what's going on here, go for your life, or anyone else, of course. Plans to go to Venus. I mean, you would have thought the Moon was ambitious enough for Rocket Lab, wouldn't you? But planning to go to Venus, it's all so exciting. And the whole Photon thing, the stage that they've got on the top, which is kind of like an advancement of their kick stage, just seems to be enabling so much. But I want to get back to that in the future. We'll get back at some stage when I've read up a little bit more and I feel a bit more confident talking about the Photon, because I just don't really quite feel like I'm there just yet. I've been out of the loop for too long. So that was Rocket Lab's launch. One other quick thing about that. Some of you, I'm sure, will have noticed or heard that during their live presentation of that launch, they used some of Tim Dodd's music. Tim Dodd, the everyday astronaut, most of you are familiar with him. What a guy. And I thought that was such a cool thing of Rocket Lab to do. Nice work, making the effort to get some of Tim's music. Tim, of course, is an accomplished photographer and a musician as well. And I just thought that was really, really nice of Rocket Lab to put some of Tim's music on their stream there. Okay, so moving along, SpaceX. Don't really have much of an update on SpaceX. Actually, I forgot to check before. As far as I'm aware, they still haven't launched SN11. For goodness sake, someone tell me if it did happen and I missed it. Certainly, as far as yesterday, they hadn't. They did do a static fire test, and I believe that all went fine, but no launch as far as I'm aware at this stage. Of course, we will show you the video when that happens, but most of you will probably will have caught up with that before you see me next anyway. I do want to mention one little Twitter thing that happened during the last week. I'm not sure if any of you saw this, but Bernie Sanders tweeted this. He says, "We are in a moment in American history where two guys, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, own more wealth than the bottom 40% of people in this country. That level of greed and inequality is not only immoral, it is unsustainable." To which Elon Musk replied, "I am accumulating resources to help make life multiplanetary and extend the light of consciousness to the stars." Very noble. Good on you, Elon. And then there was one more reply that I saw here from Bernie. "Space travel is an exciting idea, but right now we need to focus on Earth and create a progressive tax system, etc., etc." So what do we make of this? You know, I normally agree with Bernie on most things. I shouldn't give away too much about my political leanings, but I actually reckon he should have been the next president. That's just my opinion. But I'm not with him on this one. I think he has fallen into that trap. First of all, the false dichotomy of, we shouldn't be going into space because we should be doing these things on Earth, which is entirely ignoring the fact that we can do both. In the big scheme of things, space travel is not that expensive. It really isn't compared to what we spend on other things. I often like saying that as a species, we spend more money making movies about visiting other planets than we do actually visiting other planets. It's just crazy. So I think it's a false dichotomy. Saying it's one or the other is not right. We are perfectly capable of doing both. Not only that, but we need a space program to look after the Earth. Yes, it is exciting. I think the space program is really exciting, but that's like a nice silver lining. It's a bonus. The space program is a practical thing that we need here on Earth. I mean, even when we look at these live feeds up here, that one of the top right there is monitoring carbon dioxide production on Earth. There's a whole lot of stuff like that. We have to have it. And people like Elon Musk, whatever you think of him, he is helping to make these things cheaper and more efficient. I mean, sure, we know about good Elon and bad Elon. You all know I hate the amount of stuff that he's putting up in space. The whole Starlink thing, I love and hate it. But we do need a space program. And it kind of bugs me a little bit when people get stuck into the rich people for doing this, because Elon and Jeff Bezos are doing things that the governments won't or can't do. So I wonder a lot. I mean, generally speaking, I'm on board with Bernie when he talks about the fact that we shouldn't be letting a small number of people accumulate and hoard these vast amounts of wealth. Yeah, I get that. But I wonder if we should give them a pass if they're doing something that is useful or productive. I mean, it sickens me to see some people hoarding wealth and just using it for their own egos or just wasting it. That's bad. But if they're actually doing something that we need or is making the world better, maybe we need some kind of compromise in there. So that's what I thought about that little exchange. What's everyone else saying? Godfather Y2K Gaming. How is Rocket Lab's progress into reusable rockets? Now, look, I can't give you a specific answer for that. Anyone else, feel free to chip in. My understanding, just in broad terms, is that it is progressing nicely a little bit at each stage. So each mission that they're doing now, as I understand it, will incorporate some kind of testing or demonstration for the next stage that they're doing to get closer and closer to reusability. So they are looking at recovering the first stage and using a helicopter system to grab it out of the air as it's falling back down. I believe everything's going fine. I'm sorry I can't really give you a better answer of specifically exactly where they are up to right now. Andrew, SN11 might launch Monday. Thanks for that, Andrew. Taryn's saying Tim sounded very happy on Instagram. Oh, that's good to hear. I'm sure he would have been absolutely stoked with that. Very cool. I love the way that Tim has progressed so much, and he's become like this really big internet star. He's just so deserving of it. It's really neat. Taryn's also pointing out the lunar roving vehicle led to electric cars. Also, well, Elon does actually have dodgy ways. Oh, hang on. I've just realized I haven't refreshed my YouTube comments, haven't I? I've got a flash new thing here that I just have to press one button and it should, where is it? Over here. It should reload my comments. I used to have lots of trouble with that. I've just got to remember to do it now. That should reload, so it's showing them. They're still too small. I forgot to make the font bigger. Drat. I'll get back to that. One of these days we'll sort that out. Elon Musk does have dodgy ways of getting wealth, I've heard. I honestly feel as if SpaceX would be able to do it without him as long as they had the same support backing that Elon brings. Maybe. You may be right there. Certainly, I agree with you that there's some stuff that Elon has done that is dodgy. I mean, his whole reaction to the COVID thing was just poor. Really bad form, Elon. Yeah, not impressed at all. But I think it's a good example of how things aren't black and white. Hey, they really aren't. Jeff Bezos is another one. There's so many things about his Amazon operation that I just disagree with terribly. I think, there's some awful stuff that he's doing with his employees there. I don't want to make excuses for him. At the same time, it's pretty cool what he's producing with the Blue Origin and everything. So, yeah, nothing's black and white. It's all grey areas. Yikes, we need to get on with some stuff. What else do we need to talk about? The NASA SLS. So they had the hot fire test. I think I mentioned that last time. So let's just bring up a quick video for that. So this is for the Space Launch System coming up. They had a go at this test back in January, wasn't it? They called that one off early. That it went for less than a couple of minutes before they shut the engines down. But this one, this is testing the engines for the SLS rocket, the rocket that's going to take people back to the moon, hopefully. And this is using all 4 engines, and it did burn for the full 8 minutes this time. So this was a full test, and everything seemed to go very well. So I think they would be very happy with that. We'll get back to talking about Artemis, the moon mission, probably a little bit later on. So the next mission coming up is the uncrewed mission, and then hoping for a crewed mission later on this year. But that was certainly good news that they got this firing test all sorted out. I think that was about all I wanted to say about that. Just mention that did happen. Of course, the SpaceX NASA Crew 2 mission back to the space station is due to go April 22nd. So that will be good to watch as well. We'll definitely might watch that one live, actually. Might cover that one live. We'll see how we go. But still with NASA, we probably need to talk about Mars 2020, what's happening on Mars. Let's go and have a look at that. So a couple of photos, first of all, from the Perseverance rover. I'm sure lots of you have seen these photos. You can see some of the tire tracks in there. It's been moving around a little bit, of course. This is a nice photo, looking at one of the targets over there a little bit. But I think the really good one that we're interested in right now is peeking underneath the carriage, looking at Ingenuity, the helicopter, because we're getting ready for the helicopter flight. So you can see that the debris cover has been dropped, and that's on the ground. The helicopter itself is still stowed underneath the rover itself, so that hasn't been deployed yet. But we are slowly inching closer and closer to the first powered flight on another planet. How exciting! So they're hoping early April for the first flight. At this stage, around about the 8th of April is what they're looking at, but that's very flexible. We'll just have to wait and see how that goes. So I'm just thinking what needs to happen here. I'm just looking at my notes here. So they've picked the area. That's the thing. They've picked the flight area. Let's have a look at an aerial view of it so you can see where the rover has landed, and that whole zone there is the potential flight zone that they're looking at. So what they need to do now is get from where the rover is to the airfield spot. Now I've got another photo of this. This is looking out towards the airfield. It's actually quite close to where the rover has landed. So they'll be moving over there. Then they will, of course, need to drop Ingenuity onto the ground. Then the rover will need to drive away from it. And at that point, of course, the helicopter's on its own. At the moment, it's getting power and stuff from the rover. But once it's dropped and Perseverance moves away from it, it will be on its own. Then Perseverance will move away to the observation point and be able to watch the flight. And that's about when we should be ready for action. Now, I think there's only one other thing that I wanted to mention about this. There's a small piece of the Wright brothers flyer, believe it or not, on the helicopter. So just a tiny, tiny little piece. Apparently the story is that the Wright brothers auctioned off pieces of the flyer as fundraising for their future endeavors way back after they had done their first powered flight. And NASA had managed to get hold of a tiny, tiny little piece of the Wright brothers flyer, and it's actually on the helicopter. So that's going to fly on another planet. Nice. Now, I think that was all we're saying about Ingenuity at the moment. A couple of other notes here that once Perseverance has dropped Ingenuity on the ground, it will need to move away within 25 hours, or roughly one Mars day, I suppose that is. Otherwise, the Ingenuity won't be able to power up. It'll run out of power. It's solar powered, and there's no good having Perseverance on top of it blocking off the sun. So it'll have to move off fairly quickly. And then there's just a few testing things that they have to do before it flies. They'll want to test the rotors and everything, make sure everything's working. That will take a while. So everything takes time. So early April, we're looking for that. Hopefully around about the 8th. We'll let you know when we get closer to the time. Let me quickly check what is happening in the chats here. How about I'll just bring it up on the screen here? We might be able to see it a little bit better. Maybe I could make that a little bit bigger. Can I? Possibly. Okay, what have we got here? Right, Terry and Bernie started off a little over the top there. Elon attacked back, as Elon did, and then Bernie pulled the dumb card and ignored the fact that NASA alone developed so much for us here on Earth. Now, I actually thought Elon was relatively restrained, given some of the stuff that he's done in previous years. After I saw the first tweet from Bernie, I thought, oh my goodness, what's Elon going to do now? What's he going to say? But for Elon, I actually thought it was fairly restrained. Righto, Hamish, that should be put in the space-themed fun fact book. Thanks for that. Right, I think we've actually read some of those comments and some of the rest of them, haven't we? It seems yeah, Terrian, it seems as if you just have to exploit people to get that rich. That's the problem, isn't it? We like what Jeff Bezos is doing. We like the results of most of what Elon's done, but we don't want him to hurt people getting there. There's got to be some better way of doing this. Casey, will the flight be live? Oh, that's a good question, Casey. Now, we're not going to be able to, I don't think we're going to be able to watch Ingenuity's flight. There won't be like real-time video of it or anything like that. I certainly can't imagine that happening. Although I can't give you a definitive answer to that, I expect that there will be live coverage from Mission Control over the whole thing. And look, my best guess is that we will probably be getting periodic pictures and stuff, but I'll check that out. I'll see if I can get more information about exactly what we can expect. Terrian, you talk too much, apparently. That's Terrian saying that, not me. Maybe I should put you on slow mode so you can't post so much. Now, I see you're in the waiting room there, Terrian. I'll get back to the Zoom thing shortly. Yikes, I'm already halfway through what we need to get through here. Casey's saying it's all good, Terrian, so that's okay. Now, what I actually might just admit you into the Zoom room there, Terrian. I'll get back to the Zoom thing in a minute. Just remember, when I come to you, you need to be talking through Zoom, not through the YouTube thing. And make sure you unmute before you come in. I'll get back to you very soon. I'll just go back to my notes here and see what else we wanted to talk about. I think that might have been all of the immediate space flight stuff. I'm just going to go through a few web stories, web pages and things. Let's just have a quick look at some of these things. We'll probably whiz through some of them. The links to all of this, by the way, are on that Google document that I talked about earlier on. So I'll just whiz through them. You can go and read more if you want to. Mission to clean up space junk with magnets set for launch. Now, this should have launched by now. I haven't heard anything since then. But this was a mission to use magnets to go up there and try and clean up some of the space junk. Sorry that I don't have a more up-to-date comment on this. So I'm just going to leave that because we've got a lot to get through here yet. Hopefully we'll catch up with that and see if it was actually successful. Basically, this mission was going to do a test. It was actually going to effectively take some junk of its own up into space, release it, and then try and catch it and bring it back down to Earth again. So hopefully that will go well. World's first space hotel scheduled to open in 2027. Well, we'll see. So this goes back to, perhaps you might recall in 2019, a Californian company called the Gateway Foundation announced what they were going to call the Von Braun station. We did talk about this back on the Space Dave live show a couple of years ago. So it was going to be called the Von Braun space station. Apologies to Carsten for my pronunciation there. I think the wise choice was made to change that name. Most of you will probably be aware of Werner von Braun, the rocket pioneer that was a big driver behind NASA's early human spaceflight program. But he had a mixed past. Basically, he got his start making V2 rockets, and lots of really bad stuff happened. And I think the best thing you could say is that attaching his name to this would have been a distraction. Anyway, they are now calling it the Voyager Space Hotel. They've nominated a company to do the build. Now, the build, I believe, was supposed to start in 2026, so still a few years away. And they're hoping that after that, it will be open by 2027. So, start saving your pennies. Book a flight to the world's first space hotel. No idea how much it's going to cost, but I'm sure it won't be cheap. So this is going to have a mixture, they say, of microgravity, effectively zero gravity, but also just reduced gravity as well. I think that's a really interesting idea. They're planning on having lots of activities on this space station that you can do just as reduced gravity. So like different games and other activities that you could do, perhaps as if you were on the moon or something like that. So I think that's an interesting take on the whole thing. Right, what's our next story? I think I'm just going to whiz quickly through some of these. NASA's got a... Well, actually, this story was talking about NASA's... sidetracked. Zakia. Sorry for my pronunciation. Thank you for commenting. We'll get to your questions very soon. This is... Look, the link's in the Google document. Go and check it out if you want to. This is really talking, I think, about something that's very similar to the EM drive that we have talked about before. But because I'm worried about our time, I'm not really going to say anything more about that. Basically, it was a bit of a hyped story, I think, about a new kind of propulsion that it kind of seems to be in the same bag as the EM drive, really. Yeah, maybe it'll work, but we'll see. Anyway, now we've got... Hamish just wants to know... Oh, hang on. Sorry, let's go back. So I'm trying to catch up. Carsten, since you asked, Von Braun. How good's that, Carsten? Werner von Braun. Carsten's tried to teach me this before, and I'm just no good at it. Thanks, Carsten. I'm going to keep trying. Hamish is asking, am I planning to go to the Voyager one day? Depends how many Patreon supporters I get. If I can build up enough, of course I'd be on my way. Who wouldn't? I'd love it. Yeah. It's still a possibility. I'm holding out some hope that I might be able to get into space someday, but it's a thin bit of hope. I should also talk about my dearMoon application, shouldn't I? If we get... Oh, perfect, Carsten! Wow, thank you. So good. Anthony's just asked, how's the dearMoon thing going? Tell you what, let's answer that question, then we'll get to Zakia's question. The dearMoon thing, so that's my application to go on the private mission that's due to go around the moon in a few years. So I did put in an application for that. hang on, let me just bring up a picture of that. So this was the ticket thing that I got back from my first application thing, where you just send in your name and a profile picture, and they make up that little ticket so that you've got your thing in. So then the first round of selections happened last week, and or at that point you just had to do more of an application. So it involved filling out a form and talking about how, why you would be good for the mission and whatnot. And I did just get an automated reply basically saying we've reviewed your application, or received the application, sorry. So I'm hoping to hear back before the end of April. So there we go. We've got to the end of April until we find out whether I've made the first cut and get to the next stage. I have to tell you, I am not optimistic. The more I gleaned from this as I went through the application is that they really want someone who is active and successful on social media. Now, that's where I'm going to fall over, I think. I think that's going to be my weakness. As you guys know, I haven't actually been active in the last year or so. I'm just trying to get going back into it again now. So my social media channels don't look that impressive. Across all my channels, I can probably muster up maybe 10,000 followers, which is respectable. I'm happy with that number, but it's not in the league that they're looking for, I think. I think they're looking for people that are much more visible than I am. But anyway, that's where we're at. By the end of April, I'll tell you whether I've made the first cut or not. Frame it, says Casey. I should do. Yeah. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to get back to we need to do some Q&A. So I'm going to hopefully do a little bit more of this either in these sessions, or I'm also thinking I'm getting a lot of questions these days, especially from school kids, because I'm doing a lot of Zoom sessions with schools and stuff. I'm getting a lot of follow-up questions, and I want to be able to answer them like this. So what we're going to do tonight is we are going to start off with some questions from that I received from young Zakia, who is a year 2 student at Bankwood School, who wrote me this lovely letter. Dear Space Dave, my name is Zakia. I am 5 and I am from Bankwood School. I'm very interested in space. That's lovely to hear. And Zakia sent me this beautiful picture of some objects in the solar system with some other terms and things, including Maori names for planets and other objects, showing some very good knowledge there. I was particularly impressed, Zakia, that you had Uranus, or Wherangi, on its side as it orbits around the solar system. So nice work there. So we've got a few questions. What I'll do is I'll see how many of these I can get through. So let's just start from the top. How does the sun make light when it's made from dust and gas? Nice question. This is a picture of the sun as you would see it if you were in space and you could look straight at the sun with your own eyes without hurting your eyes. It looks just pretty white and you can't really see much. In this case, there's a couple of sunspots there, but that's all. This is a view of the sun through a special kind of telescope that shows us what looks like flames and all of that sort of stuff. So you can see that it looks very hot. It's, of course, also very bright. So the question is, how can something that is just made of dust and gas make light and heat? Now, this is where it gets complicated. So there are two forces at work here. We've got gravity and a thing called nuclear fusion. I probably should have tackled gravity first, actually, because that was one of your questions. But never mind. Well, let's just go with this. So everything that is made out of stuff has gravity. Okay, so anything that's got mass or things that you could touch, that sort of thing, they've got gravity. So the Earth has gravity and it pulls things towards it. The moon has gravity, the sun has gravity, so it's pulling everything towards the middle. So even though the sun is made of of gas or plasma, if you like, the gravity holds it all together and it's pulling it all towards the middle of the sun. Now, what's happening here, the important bit, is the thing called nuclear fusion. So the sun is, all the stuff in the sun is made of atoms, just like I am, just like you are, just like the whole Earth is. It's made of tiny, tiny little things called atoms. And with nuclear fusion, what's happening is you're getting a couple of those atoms, and when you push them together hard enough, you can get two atoms that join together and make one new atom. That's called fusion. they are fusing. That means joining together. So when you get two atoms fusing, making one new atom, they give off a little bit of light and heat and energy. I'll show you a picture. It doesn't matter that if you don't understand this applies to everyone, but this shows you the kind of nuclear fusion reaction that we're talking about. So these pictures are different kinds of atoms. In this case, we're starting off at the top with 4 atoms of a type called hydrogen atoms. That's what the sun's mostly made of. And they go through this whole thing and they end up as one atom called a helium atom. Now, when that happens, as it's going through, it's giving off these little bits of energy that can make heat and light. So that's really the answer to your question, is you've got the atoms getting pushed together, fusing, making new atoms. And when that happens, it gives off the heat and light. I hope that kind of answers that question enough. These are good questions that you're answering here, and they are pretty difficult to answer. There's some complicated ones here. Does space have gravity? Why? You know what? The short answer to that is we don't actually know. We know a lot about how gravity works, but why it actually happens in the first place is more difficult to answer than you might think. So I mentioned before that different things have different amounts of gravity. Pretty much, by and large, bigger things have more gravity, smaller things have less gravity. Yes, technically it's mass, not size, but let's just say for the most part, if you've got a bigger planet, it will have more gravity than a smaller planet, but everything's got gravity. Now, the thing is, if you're close to the Earth, that's where most of the gravity will be. As you move further away from the Earth, the gravity gets weaker and it's not pulling you as strongly. And as you get a long, long way away, you're not really getting much gravity pulling you towards it. But it never actually goes right down to zero. So really, all through space, there's some amount of gravity. But unless you're actually falling down onto a planet, you won't really feel it. We call it microgravity or being weightless. Okay, so we've still got a whole bunch more of your questions here. Let's tackle one more, then I'm going to go over to Zoom, so stand by, Tarian, for that. What was your next question? Gravity. What makes craters? Okay, so when we think about craters in space, some craters can be caused by volcanoes, but for the most part, craters would be formed by impacts or things hitting something. So these are craters on the moon, and these are caused by things smashing into the moon. So asteroids, meteors, when they hit the moon, we call them meteorites. So basically all of these things here would be the result of something smashing into the moon and making a big hole. Most of these are really old and happened a very, very long time ago, but we still see craters happening now, actually. Impacts on the moon. Things are still hitting the moon sometimes now. I want to show you a picture that was taken during a lunar eclipse. That's why the moon looks red. It's actually called a blood moon, and it happened during an eclipse. And that you might be able to see down here, that little white spot. That is actually the flash of the explosion of something hitting the moon. So what happened was the observatory and the telescope that was taking this picture, it was part of a video, was actually filming the eclipse. And while the eclipse was happening, something hit the moon and made that little flash. So we are seeing new craters on the moon happening all the time. So there you go. Right, quick comment, catch up. Hamish is asking, have I ever experienced zero gravity at NASA? Unfortunately, no, I have not. It's very difficult to simulate or get pretend zero gravity on Earth. Really, the only way you can do it properly is by falling, and you can do that. That might even be what you're referring to when you go up really high in a plane and you drop down. They call it the vomit comet. No, it's on my to-do list. It's on my bucket list of things to do. I definitely want to do that, but so far I have not. Right. Hang on. James is saying, don't forget to factor into the answer somehow how it does its thing while being massive. Sorry, James, what were we talking about there? I think I've lost track of what we were actually talking about, what the answer was there. If you can clarify, do that. I need to get over to Zoom and, where's my Zoom meeting gone? Oh no, this happened last time, didn't it? when I closed my when I minimized my window, I couldn't get it back again. Oh, look, sorry everyone. Just bear with me a sec while I try and find what's happened to my Zoom window. It must be something to do with my multi-monitor setup here. It won't show me my meeting. It's telling me meeting in progress. I can see my main Zoom. Look, I'll show you what I can see. If anyone, I use Zoom all the time. I should know what's going on here. This is what I can see right now. But when I Alt Tab or do anything, I've lost the actual meeting. Don't know where it's gone. Can't even select it. It's not even showing up in my taskbar down the bottom or anything. That's a fail, Dave. That is a fail. I'm really sorry about that, Tarian. Don't know what I'm going to do about that. Look, I tell you, I'll leave it just for a moment in case anyone can give me a good answer to what's going on there. Otherwise, I might try closing the meeting and restarting it. Crookie, how you going, Crookie? Good to see you. Oh, Hamish, you know someone who has. Wow, that would be a cool story. That was the zero gravity thing, eh? You know someone that's done that. I presume you're talking about that plane, the Vomit Comet. Wow, that would be such a cool thing to do. Crookie, you missed us talking about Rocket Lab earlier on, but look, just congratulations. Everything is so good at Rocket Lab. It's all so exciting. Okay then. Right, so Tarian, thanks for that. How's our time going? Let's just whiz through a couple of quick astronomy stories. I think, where did we get up to with the news stories that we were talking about before? The Starliner. Let's have a quick mention of the Starliner one, if I can. Yeah, here we go. This was Spaceflight Now, that they were talking about how Boeing's Starliner, which keeps slipping, this was kind of going to be the competition for the Crew Dragon, SpaceX's one. They were kind of neck and neck for quite a while, but Dragon has got ahead. Starliner kept getting delayed. So at the moment, they are looking for a test in early April, hopefully for a flight later this year. So good luck, Boeing. I hope that all goes well. Next story. Scientists want to build a doomsday vault on the moon. Okay, so a bunch of scientists have proposed building a massive underground complex with all sorts of tunnels housing samples of DNA. And what else did I had some notes here. Let me just read this. Engineers want to build an underground lunar ark filled with millions of seed, spore, sperm, and egg samples from Earth species hidden in a network of tubes on the moon to provide a genetic backup for the planet in the event of a doomsday scenario. Wow, what an ambitious project. No chance of it happening anytime in the foreseeable future. A couple of people had sent me the link, so I thought I should at least comment on this one. It's a really good theoretical idea, and I fully support scientists looking into these things and thinking about what would be needed, but it's a long, long way in the future. Can't see. I mean, there are so many things that need to be sorted out. Next story. Let's have a quick look at this one. Astronomers image magnetic fields at the edge of M87's black hole. I'm sure you all remember this. Actually, I should have got the original photo. Now, this happened back during. Hang on, I'm just trying to multitask here. Back during the Space Dave live shows in 2019. When we were, where are we? Oh, here we go. The photo's in here. Where we saw this picture. You remember this one? The first ever actual photo of a black hole. Big news. So what's happened now is that what they've done is they've observed it looking at the polarized light. And what that does is because the polarization of the light from these images is affected by the magnetic fields around that black hole, they've now been able to show us what the magnetic fields look like, and that gives us a whole lot more information about this black hole. In particular, they're hoping to learn more about how this black hole, which is at the center of that galaxy, M87, is able to eject such big streams of matter out into intergalactic space. So, lovely picture. Love the new version of this picture showing the magnetic fields, and hopefully lots of really good science to come out of this. Now, look, I've only got a few more stories that I wanted to mention here, so let's just quickly go through these, then we can get back to some of that other stuff. This was from stuff.co.nz. Chunks of an alien world may be buried underground. Now, this, Zakia, relates to one of the questions that you had asked, because you had asked me, let me just go back to the questions. One of them was, what is the moon made of? Well, the moon is made of pretty much the same stuff as Earth, as it happens. It's rocks and metals. It's kind of like a very dried out, simpler version of the Earth. But most of the stuff we saw in those pictures of the craters, that sort of thing, when you look at pictures like this, it's rocks like you would find here on Earth. How the moon formed, how it came to be like it is, and why it's made of the same stuff as Earth is one of those questions that's still up for debate. But the leading theory, the thing that most astronomers think, is that a long, long time ago, a smaller object, a smaller planet about the size of Mars, smashed into the Earth, like it shows in this picture, and then what was left over from that eventually became the moon. Now, what these guys are suggesting, the hypothesis is related, if we just go down here, I hope you can see that. The graphic down there shows you the inside of the Earth. So what's going on here is that there's a couple of really, really big clumps of rocky stuff sort of between the outer core of the Earth and the mantle, so a long way underground. There's these big blobs that don't really fit in with the rest of it. You kind of got what we think is the inner core, outer core, the mantle out to the crust, and everything seems to be nicely layered except for these two big blobs. Now, this hypothesis, this idea that these people are suggesting is that what you're seeing there is actually the leftovers of Theia, the moon, the thing that impacted the Earth. So they're not confident. It's an idea that needs a lot more research, but I think it's an intriguing idea. And hopefully something will come out of that. That was a really cool story. I like that. Right, last few stories here. Scientists, a few people had sent me this. Sorry, that's why I wanted to comment on this. Scientists claim life on Jupiter's moon could have octopus-level intelligence. Honestly, I don't think there's much really in this that we didn't already know. The story was kind of making it out like this was a new idea, but really the idea that there may be life under Europa, yeah, we already know that. That's why NASA is planning to send a mission to Europa to try and figure that out. So whether it was octopus-level intelligence, well, that was just pure speculation. I don't think there's no new information that suggests that might be the case. Okay, what was the story about? Human-safe wormholes could exist in the real world. Have we got time to be talking about all of this? Look, let me just quickly mention it. It's the link's in the document if you want to see it. I was unconvinced. It was intriguing. I guess going back a little bit, the idea that wormholes exist so you could go into one place, kind of like go through a black hole, through a singularity thing, come out somewhere else, is an idea that maybe there are real wormholes, but every version of a theoretical wormhole that you've ever seen kind of involves you being stripped down to individual particles and sent through as a stream, and it's not a survivable process. But there's a hypothesis that there could possibly be human survivable. There wasn't really much in this article that would convince me. This was probably a one that is worth mentioning. You remember Oumuamua, that intergalactic traveler? I should have brought up a version of the picture that we had, that we used to think of. Basically, when it first came out, this was the thing that came from another solar system, and the CGI image, the artist's impression, had it very much like a cigar shape. What they are now saying is that they think it is more of a cookie shape. So there's that. But the guy who wrote that story, or who keeps trying to get it back in the news, have I got his name here? I can't remember his name. Oh, look, that was the original picture there. That's the one we were talking about. Yeah, look, the whole thing of whether this was an alien spacecraft, no, I don't think so. Maybe, I wouldn't rule it out altogether. But even though this guy keeps trying to convince us all that it's an alien spacecraft, I just can't see it. I'm just going to... Oh, one more thing that I will mention. This probably is worth mentioning. NASA has said that the asteroid Apophis that everyone was getting really scared about is not going to hit us. This has been in the news a few times over the years. So Originally, there was concern that it might impact the Earth in 2019 or possibly 2036 or maybe 2068. Each one of those has now been eliminated. NASA is now telling us that there is no chance that it's going to hit the Earth for at least the next 100 years. So we should all be right, at least. Okay, let's see if I can find what's happened to my Zoom meeting. Hang on, no, I still can't find it. So, Hamish, sorry, Hamish, you've got to go. Thanks a lot. See you later. Let's see if anyone's commented on what might be happening with my Zoom thing. Jason's asking, should New Zealand have a Ministry of Science because we should be chasing the stars? A hugely cool, exciting, creative rugby team. Yes, obviously we should be doing more. New Zealand is not pulling its weight in terms of research and development. So I think I might have just seen my Zoom meeting. I think I found it. I'll get back to it in a sec. Now, New Zealand did used to do better. I used to live not too far from the DSIR, the Department of Scientific and Industrial Research. But we've been getting worse over the years. We do have a space agency, but that's really just about regulatory stuff. So, yeah, we should definitely be doing better. Right. I'm just quickly whizzing through the comments. Right, Casey's telling me Dr. Arvey something. What was his name? Okay, thanks for that. Okay, before we run out of time, I'm going to try and get my Zoom meeting back. I think I've got it, and Karsten's here as well. So stand by, Tarian. I can see you there, and Karsten is just joining now. I just need to get rid of my self view so we don't have a feedback. We'll get back. I'll just wait for Karsten to join in. While I wait for Karsten, let me just get back to my notes over here. Now, Zakia, we tackled a few of your questions, but we didn't get through all of them. I still do want to do that. If you are still with us, just if you feel like it, post another comment in the chat. If we don't get through to them tonight, we will get to them next week, hopefully. Tarian's saying, yeah, he wrote a lot of articles, eh? He certainly did. Sorry, Karsten. Maybe I didn't click the button properly. I'm trying to admit you. You know what? I use Zoom every day, and I never have the problems that I do when I'm trying to do it while I'm streaming live at the same time. Anyway, let's bring in Tarian. Okay, you coming on now? Hey, Tarian, how are you going? Can we hear you?
Yes.
Yeah, we have got you there. So, look, the first thing I'm going to comment now that I've got you up there, that poster that you've got in the background, the southern sky. I've got the same one up in the background.
You have. Yes.
I have.
I was talking with you last time I came. Said I've got that one.
Oh, right. Oh, sorry, I'd forgotten that. And I can see some other things that you've got there on your wall there. So, wow. Oh, what have we got there? Let's have a look at them.
I've got my Rocket Lab memorabilia kind of bit. I've got an article there, and then I've got my mission patch collection.
Nice.
Yeah. The room's going a little echoey when I'm in the corner. I've just got some other stuff I've done. Got Mirror up there, just because it's a cool station. I like it. Oh, I seem to have lost your audio.
I'm still here.
Oh, no.
Okay, yeah. I'm just in awe. I was awestruck.
Oh, right.
That's why.
And then I draw this.
Karsten, by the way, I'm still trying to admit you. I keep clicking the admit button, but for some reason, it's just not joining. We'll keep an eye on that. That's great work, Tarian. That's fantastic. I love your mission patch collection there and the work that you've done on those things. That is very cool. The Mir space station, what a storied thing that whole thing was. The Mir space station, eh? Yeah.
I've been meaning to get around to writing the labels on it for a while. I've just never got around to, because then I can remind myself of what all the modules are called.
It's a good thing to do. It's a very good thing to do.
Do it with the ISS, really.
What's that? Sorry?
I should do it with the ISS, really.
Yeah, it's probably a bit harder with the ISS, isn't it? That would take a bit longer.
Yeah, I don't actually know if because it's so complex that You might have to have multiple view angles of a diagram.
Yes, that's exactly right. And of course, they keep changing everything. I see they moved the Soyuz. Was it just in the last week? I think they moved that to a different docking module.
Yeah,
And there's more stuff happening. Have you seen Scott Manley's video? He did a video just
I did.
recently. I need to go back. I didn't actually watch the whole thing. He was talking about all the upcoming upgrades, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, God, Scott Manley's just awesome when it comes to things like that. He certainly is the go-to guy for that kind of stuff. So you're a fan of the Mir space station. Have you got any other favorite missions or things like that, either past, present, or future?
I like Ariane 5. That's something like, yeah.
Nice. Well, you've got some. You got some. Sorry, what was that?
I should got. Probably will get things like that on my wall in the future. I just noticed I'm wearing my Rocket Lab.
Oh, you are too. You are too. I didn't see that. Oh, very good.
You got that for Christmas, which was really very cool present.
Nice. If anyone wants to get me one just like Tarian's, that would be fantastic. I've got some caps. Not here, somewhere. But I don't have a t-shirt yet. Okay, look, we're getting near the end of our time. I'm just thinking, let me just quickly go back and check on our chat here. Sorry, Taryn, just bear with me while I do that. Right. Thanks, Carsten. Sorry we didn't get you in there. Not sure what happened, but thanks a lot. Crookie's asking, hey, Dave, have you seen the new Lego Space Shuttle? No, I haven't.
Oh.
Wow. Okay. That would be cool. Terry, I've still got your audio up, by the way, even though I'm not looking at you. No, I didn't know that they got a new Lego Space Shuttle out.
It's all over my Instagram feed.
Is it?
It looks very impressive, but apparently it's very expensive to buy as well.
Lego is expensive stuff, isn't it?
What is it? Is it? Which Space Shuttle is it? I think it's. And does it have the Hubble inside it? I think.
Does it?
Something.
Okay.
I can't remember which one that was. I remember Atlantis serviced it and repaired it, but I don't. Was it even launched on the shuttle? I think it was.
It was. I'm having a bit of a mental block there. Someone tell us if they can. It was it 1990 the Hubble launch? I think it was about then. Yes, I don't want to say anything else in case I make a fool of myself. So I might just leave that one. But I definitely need that for my collection. I've got the big Saturn V, I've got the big ISS, and a few others. So I would definitely need to add that to my collection. Now, I'm just going back to my chat, and I want to see if Zakia was still with us here. Because we need to think about. Oh, right, you are still here, Zakia. Okay, bear with us. We will get back to your questions. Right, Crookie can't wait for the James Webb Telescope. Oh, it just seems like it's taking forever, doesn't it, Crookie? Where did I see it? Might have slipped out to 2022. I might have got that wrong, but I certainly hope not. But anyway, yeah, we're all looking forward to that. And I just can't deal with the stress for too much longer, whether it's actually going to work or not. Yeah. Okay. Oh, it does come with Hubble, Crookie's saying. $320? You're kidding me. Oh, that was worse than the ISS one. I don't even think the Saturn V was that much. Oh, well. I haven't got much choice. I need it. It's got to go with my Lego display.
Maybe wait until the price goes down. I think.
What was that, Tyrion?
Maybe wait until see if the price goes down, get it off like Trade Me or something.
Now, look, I have tried that in the past and I got caught out. I ended up paying more. I can't remember what it was. It was for one of the big ones, and I thought I'll just wait a little bit. And then by the time it came on Trade Me, the price hadn't gone down. They'd blimmin' upped it. So my policy now with Lego is if it's something that you need, just buy it when it comes out. Find the money somehow, do what you need to do, and just buy it. So
I just looked it up. Launched on Discovery in 1990.
And not in 1990 on Discovery. Thanks for that, Tyrion. Oh, this is the good thing about having you guys involved. We can get you guys Googling and looking up stuff as we go. Now, what we need to do, I'm just going to take your audio down there now for a bit. We'll leave the Zoom open. If anyone else wants to join, feel free. But I want to get back and answer the rest of Zakia's questions. So just bear with me while we bring them back up again. Now, where do we get to? In space, there are volcanoes that erupt ice instead of lava. Do they have a special name? Where are these volcanoes found? Another great question from you there. Yes, such things do exist. They are called cryovolcanoes. So cryo, C-R-Y-O, that bit means really, really cold. So if you put cryo in front of something, you're meaning it's really cold. So a cryovolcano is just a really, really cold volcano. And we do have them. So this is a real picture of some on one of the moons of Saturn called Enceladus. And I've got a closer view of here. I love this photo. This is one of the great space photos, I think. These are these are technically geysers, I believe, but the same kind of thing. It's stuff underneath Enceladus being pushed out into space. And I'll show you a graphic. This is an artist's impression or a drawing that someone's made of on a computer that we think is what's going on underneath Enceladus. So we believe it's warmer as you get towards the middle. And they've got these bits of water going up through, and it's shooting frozen water out into space. So, yep, the answer to your question was they are called cryovolcanoes. And you also asked where would they be found, didn't you? So if we look at our solar system, these are the main planets in our solar system. We would expect to find cryovolcanoes and things like that further out in the solar system, mainly in the moons of the gas giant planets. Closer to the sun, it's really getting too warm for that kind of stuff. You can't really have this on the gas giant planets themselves, of course, because they are made of gas. And you don't really have a surface, so you can't really have volcanoes. But the moons of the gas giant planets are the main places where we would expect to find those things. What other questions did you have? What is the moon made of? We did talk about that before, actually. Oh, the next one was how far apart are the planets and why? Now, the picture that I'm showing you here at the moment, these things are the right size compared to each other, but they are not the right distance apart. They should be much, much more spread out than that. So in terms of why the planets are the distance apart that they are, basically that goes back to the start of the solar system, when the solar system was made. So if I show you just a couple of pictures of that, perhaps, this is what we think the solar system looked like in its very early days. So it was a big cloud of dust and gas floating around in space. And over time, it all started clumping together and making the planets and things. So over a long period of time, it all just sort of ended up, all the stuff in this part would clump together to make a planet. Then a bit further out, it clumps together to make another planet. So then we end up with what we've got now. So that's why you don't really have planets. Oh, sorry, that's not the image I wanted to show. It was this one. That's why you don't really have planets forming too close to each other. If they were too close, then the gravity from both of those things would pull them together and just make one planet. So the planets are millions of kilometers apart, millions to billions. So the first one you might count in millions of or tens of millions, hundreds of millions of kilometers, and then it gets out to billions of kilometers when you're getting further out into the solar system. Okay, so hopefully that kind of gives you a reasonable answer to that question, but I'm just going to come back to our chat and I'm going to ask you guys a question because I am looking at my viewer count here and it tells me that I currently have 0 viewers. Now that doesn't seem right. Have I got 0 viewers at the moment? I don't think so because people are still commenting. So I hope I'm not just talking to me and the couple of people in the Zoom here. Now, let's just go back. Right, a few of you are just chatting amongst yourselves here, I think. Well, there's plenty of people talking here, so I'm assuming that we've still got people watching. Okay, I'm just going to quickly whiz through these. Okay, you guys can all read these comments. I think it's going to take me too long to try and catch them up on all of them. Crookie, you're here. No, we are here. Casey, thanks, guys. I don't know what on earth's going on there. So let's just go back to try and answer a few more of these questions. Seem to be having a few technical issues at the moment. Where do we get up to with your questions, Zakia? Are there any other solar systems? Indeed, there are other solar systems. So the solar system that we live on, actually the graphic that I was showing you before kind of shows that. Let's just go back to that one. This shows you where we fit into the whole scheme of things. We live on a planet that's part of a solar system in a galaxy. So our galaxy is made up of anywhere between 100 billion and 400 billion solar systems. That's what you're seeing when you look at our galaxy. This whole thing here, you're looking at the stars, and most of the stars in our galaxy we think have planets going around them. So we can call them other solar systems. You might call them planetary systems. Some astronomers call them solar systems. Some astronomers say ours is the solar system, and other ones we would call planetary solar system. So it kind of depends a little bit on just what you want to call them, really. Now, did I have anything else on that question? I think I did want. Yeah, actually, look, I tell you what, I've actually got a couple of real photos of other solar systems. Now, we can't really see very much, but the thing in the middle is the star, and the stuff around the edges is mostly new planets being formed. We have a couple of other similar ones. This is another solar system being formed, and if you look at a couple of the parts of it here, we believe these are actually planets, or planets that are at least being formed. So because these things are so far away, we don't really have great photos of them, but we can tell that they are solar systems. This is computer-generated images along the top. That whole row along the top is a solar system called the TRAPPIST-1 system, and that's such an interesting system because we think it's got a whole lot of Earth-like planets in it that could be suitable for life. So, yes, the answer to your question is most definitively, most absolutely, yes, there are other solar systems out there. Now, just let me know, Zakia, am I answering your questions okay? Or do you have any further questions, or am I not explaining something well enough? Who was the first person to go to the moon was the next question. Now, most people, if you ask them that, would tell you Neil Armstrong. Neil Armstrong was the first person to get out of a spaceship and set foot or step on the surface of the moon. He was not the first person to go to the moon. The first people to go there but didn't actually land on the moon were the three people on the left here. They were in a mission called Apollo 8. Their mission was to go to the moon and just go into orbit around the moon, but they didn't land on it. So I would call that going to the moon. That's what I'm planning to do when I get accepted in the dearMoon mission. I'm hoping to go to the moon and just orbit around it and come back again. If I do get on there, our spaceship won't be able to land on the moon. We'll just be orbiting it. But these were the first ones that went to the moon. So Frank Borman, Bill Anders, and Jim Lovell were the first ones to go there. Then another mission called Apollo 10 did the same kind of thing, just getting ready to land and testing things out, but they didn't land on the moon either. That was Gene Cernan, John Young, and Thomas Stafford. Then the last three people there were the ones that went on the first mission that actually landed on the moon. And of them, Neil Armstrong was the first one to get out and walk on the moon. Buzz Aldrin followed him out shortly later. So those two walked on the moon. The other guy, poor old Michael Collins, didn't actually get to walk on the moon. He had to stay in the spaceship that was orbiting around the moon. But then there were a bunch of other missions after that where more people landed on the moon, and a total of 12 actually. Now, hang on. There were 12 that actually walked on the moon. Hey, there were no doubles up there. Oh, have I got that right? Someone tell me if I'm wrong. There were some double ups with people that went to the moon. But I believe there were 12 that actually walked on the moon. So that's the answer to that question. Let's just quickly catch up on the chat. Right, Tarian's clarifying the Hubble thing. And a few other comments there. Anthony's saying Tarian just straight flexing on us now. That's true, but loving it. Thank you, Tarian. It's really good having other people not just Tyrion, other people everyone else who is contributing and helping out with all of this. It is really, really cool. Apollo 10, so close, wasn't it? They were worried, I think, weren't they? They were worried initially with Apollo 10 that they might actually try for a landing on the moon. So my understanding was the mission wasn't capable of it. The point was to go there and test everything except the landing. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that they didn't actually have enough fuel in the lander to go and do the landing. So they would have known that it wasn't actually possible, just in case they had any ideas. Righto. Right, we need to get back. Hang on a sec. Terry, I just wanted, what's your comment there? The Chinese guy who strapped solid rocket fireworks to his chair and ordered them lit and was never seen again could have gone to the moon. I've actually got him featured on one of our displays just over here, I think. I'm pretty sure it's the same one that you will be thinking of. Thanks for that. Right, let's see if we can get through the rest of Zacchaeus' questions. We might be able to. Where were we up to? Right, sorry. Who was the first person to go to the moon and who was the first person to go into space? Were they the same person? No, they were not. The first person to go into space was this gentleman. He was a Russian guy by the name of Yuri Gagarin. He went into space in 1961, so well before. So Apollo 8 that we were talking about was 1968. The first person to walk on the moon, Neil and Buzz, that was 1969. But way back in 1961 was the first person to go into space. So he just orbited around the Earth. This was the only real photo we had. It was actually part of a video stream, which is why it's all got those lines on it. So this was him in his first space mission. So that was Yuri Gagarin, 1961, the first person to actually go into space. The conspiracy theories aside, actually, that's assuming that he was actually the first one. Let's just assume that he was. We've only got 2 more questions, so I think we can get... Oh, no, sorry. Maybe 3 more. Have any animals been into space? Yes. Here are some of the animals that have been into space. So various types of animals have been into space. The first animals to go into space from Earth were actually flies. Fruit flies went into space. We've also had dogs, monkeys, 1 cat, mice, fish, silkworms, spiders, bees, ants, and roundworms. And you can see some of those pictures there. So yes, we have had animals. The first ones, Laika, the dog, what was this monkey's name? Miss Baker? Have I got that right? I think it might have been. We've got Sam and Ham, the American ones. So the first ones went up there before people did, just to make sure that everything was going to work okay. Now, you wouldn't do that these days. You wouldn't send an animal because you were too scared to send people now, I don't think. But those ones went into space in the early days. Not really sure about the story behind the cat. I believe it was French. And then we've had some other animals since then as part of different kinds of experiments to see how they go in space. So yes, we have had animals in space. What were your last couple of questions? Pluto is a dwarf planet. How many others are there and what are their names? Okay, so depends who you listen to, really. So there's an organization called the International Astronomical Union, and they get to name planets and stars and things, and they get to decide what we call planets and all of that kind of stuff. So according to the International Astronomical Union, there are 5 official dwarf planets: Ceres, Pluto, Eris, Makemake, and Haumea. There are other possible ones. NASA, I think, calls a couple of the others dwarf planets. Some astronomers will say different things are dwarf planets. I've even heard some astronomers call Vesta a dwarf planet, even though it's not really round. So I'm going to go with 5 official dwarf planets and some others that probably will become dwarf planets in the future. And we will discover more for sure. Okay, I believe that was all your questions, Zacchaeus. You had some really, really good questions there. That's nice work. For those of you who missed it before, let's just have another look at the beautiful drawing and diagram that Zacchaeus sent through to me. That was lovely. Thank you so much for your questions. We will try and tackle some other questions from other people in later shows. We are over time. We don't have a specific time limit for these sessions, but I normally try and go for about an hour. We're now at an hour and a quarter. Let's just see. Ardennes. The shape of heart on Pluto is definitely spectacular. You're right about that. The picture that we were just looking at there, Pluto, the heart of Pluto is it's quite surreal, isn't it? It almost doesn't seem real. It's just beautiful. Terrian, interesting fact. Ham was only referred to as a number before he returned. I did not know that because NASA didn't have the heart to send a named animal on a potentially deadly mission. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so I think with that, we are getting ready to wrap this up. Couple of other quick things maybe. Kerbal Space Program. If anyone out there is a KSP, Kerbal Space Program player, I would like to hear from you because I would love to do some talking about that. I don't really want to do it at the same time that we've got all these other people that aren't interested, but let me know if you are keen to talk about Kerbal Space Program. I am a noob. I can launch a simple rocket, but that's about all I can do. I want to get into it, and I want to talk to more people who know more about it. I think that's about it. Thanks, Casey, for your comment there. Thank you, everyone else who has joined in. Sorry if I've missed any comments. My apologies. If I've missed a comment or something, please do feel free to wait until comments are available on the video. It usually takes a couple of hours, I think, before you can comment on the video rather than the live chat. But please do comment on there about anything that's happened. If you're watching from the future and you want to comment on something that we've just done, do comment and I will try and come back and catch up with it later. So I think that poison toad. Now, I always have trouble pronouncing that word. Pareidolia, is that how you pronounce it? I think that's where you see shapes and patterns and things that aren't really there. Sees the dog Pluto on Pluto. I'm just going to have to go and have a quick closer look at Pluto and see if I can see that as well. I think I've got a closer view. Yeah, this one here might show it a little bit better. You see the dog Pluto on there, do you? I think I can kind of see that. Nice, thank you. Taryn saying, don't play KSB, but I play Simple Rockets 2, which is a simple game. Thank you. I will, a similar game, did I say that? Yes, thank you. I will have a look into that one, hopefully, if I remember. Okay, I think I'm going to have to get going. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Really want to keep these things going. We need more subscribers. It really makes all the difference. Get people to subscribe and follow us. Thank you so much. We'll try and get more of the Zoom stuff going, and we might start, if we can get enough people, start separating these out into different kinds of things. Sometimes we might just have a whole session where we're just chatting to people on Zoom like we were doing before, have different ones for news, for Q&A and that kind of stuff. But at the moment, because we don't have so many followers, we're trying to sort of just throw a whole lot of stuff at it and see what sticks. I Smoke Ghosts, thank you very much for commenting. See ya. Right. Thank you, everyone else who's dropping your comments in now. I'll leave the chat open for just another 30 seconds or so, but do feel free to comment in the video below. Thank you so much, everyone. It's been awesome. We'll catch up with you next time. Cheers. Bye-bye.